All right, all right. Hello, welcome. We got some music here, some country. Very appropriate if you listen to the words. This is Alan Jackson, Gone Country. Let's just listen to that. Well, good evening, good evening. Today we're going with the hat because we're talking about energy. We're talking about energy, and this is a big one today. So we definitely need this this spirit here, Gone Country. What are we going to talk about today? Green Party's view on energy. We know that the oil business has been a big part of the West. Texas, California, fossil fuels, big money, big culture. It's not going to be easy to change that. So that's why we got the hat on today. We got a lot of work to do to make it cool to be clean and green. I'm going to read you the U.S. energy policy from our Green Party and the Senate campaign here. The United States has an high energy consumption economy based mainly on fossil energy. The extraction, refining, and combustion of fossil fuels have proven extremely harmful to the environment, and supplies are rapidly being depleted. Over the past century, the infrastructure of our civilization has become utterly dependent on plentiful oil, coal, and natural gas. Vast land, air, and sea transportation networks, increasing dependence on imported goods, industrialized food production dependent on fertilizer and biocides, and sprawling, car-dependent neighborhoods and workplaces. Our electric grid depends on fossil fuels for 2/3 of its energy. We must move decisively to an energy system based on 100% solar, wind, geothermal, marine, and other clean renewable energy sources. The development of earth-gentle, sustainable energy sources must be a cornerstone of any plan to reduce reliance on conventional fossil fuels. Our enormous investment in highways, airports, cars, planes, buses, trucks, aircraft is almost completely dependent on oil, and it will be significantly handicapped by higher fuel prices and devastated by actual fuel shortages. The electrification of road-based vehicles is a must and will require at least 2 decades to fully deploy, and we must move to earth-gentle electricity generation to charge the vehicles. Meanwhile, existing private automobiles must be put to use more efficiently through carpooling, car sharing, and ride sharing networks. The Green Party advocates for a rapid reduction in energy consumption through energy efficient and decisive transition away from fossil fuel power towards cleaner, renewable, local energy sources. Towards these goals, we advocate for energy conservation, a transition to 100% renewable sources, the elimination of dirty and dangerous energy sources, decentralization of the grid, relocalization of the food system, electrification of the transportation system, major investment in new technology, and educating the public for the new green economy. All right, there's a lot to talk about there. The Green Party, obviously one of its biggest issues since the 70s, we've been concerned about the environment. We know that the burning of fossil fuels, while it has had an extremely polluting effect on our air, we've done a lot to fix that over the years, scrubbing the sulfur, the acid rain. We've scrubbed that out, so we've removed a lot of that, the nitric oxides. However, we still have the carbon dioxide, the methane, the nitric oxide. These are heavy greenhouse gases. So what the greenhouse gases do is they put the carbon in the air. Trees are made of carbon. Carbon is in rocks. It's a very heavy, dense. So the sun comes down to the earth, and then when it bounces back, it gets stuck. It gets trapped like a greenhouse, all of that carbon. Before the Industrial Revolution, we were in like the high 200 parts per million. We're now at 420. So we're nearly double because we've been burning petroleum, natural gas, coal for all of those years. Coal is the worst. And so what we need to do now is get off of them completely. Now, the way to do that is the sun. We have the sun. It's an amazing source of energy. Solar panels. We could put solar panels on every warehouse in the country, every rooftop. We can literally power the entire United States with solar energy that way. Wind is also good. You've got these huge wind turbines all around, offshore, and they put that energy into the grid. We can use geothermal, go down into the earth, it heats up through the inner, that heat power of the certain areas of the earth. Can burn algae. There's other new technologies as well, high dense, certain dense coals without any emissions, and much more. So the idea is, and then we have nuclear. Now, the Green Party was very against nuclear energy in the 70s because of the meltdowns. Chernobyl then happened later. We had the 3 Mile Island. When you put it all together, they were scared. But nuclear energy has no greenhouse gas emission. Now, Bill Gates is supporting this new production of nuclear energy with, instead of water, sodium holds the heat of the rods, are extremely hot, those radioactive rods, and that sodium becomes the way to cool them down. He believes it's much safer, and he's putting a lot of money into it. We also have what's called like small, mobile nuclear reactors, nuclear devices that they're coming out with. Literally can fit in your room, can power like an entire community. So that's another way to go without any emissions, any issue of greenhouse gases. But some people are still afraid. What if we do have a meltdown? Radioactive material is very dangerous. It's a chain reaction. Everything starts to become radioactive, and then it stays around. That radioactive material stays around for thousands of years. We have right now pretty much in every facility, like the one at Calvert Cliffs in Maryland. They just keep the spent rods right off site in some container there, but we never found a place to finally store. It was supposed to be in Yucca Mountain in Nevada, but Nevada didn't want it there, and then they were afraid of the transportation. So we have, like, all over the country, we've got these nuclear facilities sitting there with spent nuclear fuel, which is highly dangerous. We've got to figure out a solution. In Finland, they created these amazing tunnels, completely sealed off. You put all the rods, the spent rods, in these containers down deep in the earth and just let it sit there. So if Yucca Mountain doesn't want it, to be honest, we could put it in Western Maryland. We could take a mountain, go a deep, deep hole in Western Mountain, take all the fuels from around. You understand how much money we would earn as a state by bringing together all of those fuel rods? Every other state would pay us in Maryland to take all of their rods. We can create this huge cave within the Western Mountains and deep in Western Maryland, and put them out there near Oakland. Put all the spent fuel rods in there. Every state will pay us, and and that would be fabulous. I'm not afraid of what would happen. We know how to do it properly, where it will store for thousands of years safely. But again, the Green Party is still not convinced it's a good idea. If we can get all of our energy, the 4 trillion kilowatt hours, if we can get it all from 4,000, if we can get it all, 4.11 trillion kilowatt hours is the total amount the U.S. uses. If we can get it all from solar and wind, why not? So again, last year we used about 4,108 billion kilowatt hours, or 4.11 trillion of electricity in the United States. 61% was generated from fossil fuels. Coal is terrible. Coal emits all sorts of toxic waste into the air, into the water. We had a facility right down the block here on the Potomac River that was closed, thank God. Who knows how many people got cancer from the water because of that facility? We really don't know. Natural gas is better than the others, but it's still not great because of its carbon footprint is too high, and we're burning it puts the carbon into the air. Petroleum, unfortunately, petroleum had its day. It made a lot of money. It's still making the Middle East tons of money. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Iran, Iraq. It does also pay for terrorist activity in some states, some countries. So it hasn't had a great history. Venezuela just seems to come along with negative consequences. And the bottom line is we can't keep burning fossil fuels, or else we are just going to heat up the planet, and then the storms are going to continue, and then the ice is going to melt, and then half of Florida will be underwater. But more importantly, the oceans are going to become acidic, and that's going to kill our food sources, and on and on. 19% of American energy comes from nuclear energy. As we said, if we can keep it clean, we're not building new power plants though now. If Bill Gates can figure out how to do this and it's 100% safe, I think some people, even the Green Party, will consider it. In Germany, they have reversed that position, and they are. Annalena Baerbock and her team. Remember, Germany, the Green Party is actually respected. What do you think about us doing that here? Having respectable Green Party leaders, it's possible. And then we do 20% from renewable now. So we've got to switch everything. We've got to get from 61 completely off of that. And that's the goal, 2050. California and Maryland are leading the way. We're going to go, as Governor Moore said, we're going to get off all fossil fuel-based cars. Gas power, we're going to have all electric cars. Watch what I predict. India and China are going to be starting to come out with these new cheap electric cars that you can lease for $300 a month, $200 a month. Watch what happens. Unfortunately, they're going to take out our industry. If we don't build electric car manufacturing companies at Ford and GM, and we're already behind the Japanese, but I have a feeling we're going to fall way behind in the electric vehicle market, even with the new law, especially if the Republicans block because of the debt ceiling position. They're going to block our climate rules that keep those incentives here, and then you'll see lots of Chinese companies coming out with these electric cars, and Indian companies as well, because India is actually very advanced when it comes to the environment. They're planting trees everywhere, millions of trees, are rebuilding the soil. It's part of the culture. So that's it. Now, there is something called the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, cap and trade. So 11 eastern states, including Maryland, are part of this RGGI system. It's a great way to, well, basically all of the facilities that do put out greenhouse gases have to pay to buy these credits, so they can actually emit the carbon when they have those credits, but they have to purchase them. So it's done it has been a huge effect on limiting the greenhouse gas emissions. It also raises money, more than $2.6 billion in revenue from quarterly auctions of so-called allowances that power plants must buy to offset their emissions. So it's a neat way. It's kind of bringing economics, bringing the market-based system. California does it as well. California actually is the only cap and trade program that includes gasoline and diesel distributors. But Maryland is launching an idea to do that as well. You can read about it at the Georgetown Climate Center, Georgetown University. They believe that pricing policies could reduce transportation emissions by as much as 40% by 2030 through the cap and trade program. So read about it. It's a bit complicated. But at the end of the day, it moves us towards zero fossil fuels, 100% carbon-free energy system, which is the goal, certainly, of our party. So that's our energy system in the United States. On our election, our campaign will be focused on that. And if we win, we definitely will be pushing full speed ahead with the other members of Congress on going zero emission, 100% clean, renewable, green energy. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.